Hi, welcome to my podcast. I'm Dr. Caroline Leaf, and this is Cleaning Up Your Mental Mess. And in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the importance of developing your self-awareness, what this is and how to do this and why it is essential. But before we begin, I just want to remind you that this podcast is for educational purposes and not medical. And if you need medical advice, please contact the appropriate medical professional. And also, if you want to help me with these podcasts so I can keep on doing this all the time, please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Please subscribe to my podcast, Cleaning Up Your Mental Mess, and leave me a 5-star review wherever you listen. I would love that. And send us some comments and some feedback. And don't forget to share these podcasts with friends and encourage them to subscribe. Because the more of you that subscribe, the more I'm able to produce more and more content to help you with the day-to-day stuff. Listen, I help myself every time I open my mouth and teach you these things and tell you these things. They are coming from experience, clinical experience, research experience, and my own need as well. So my own experience. And also, if you want to follow me on social media, which I highly recommend, all my social media handles are Dr. Caroline Leaf. Every day I am going to give you snippets of information that will really help you through the day. Very practical, simple, how to manage your mind. Listen, our minds are working 24/7. You can go 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, 3 minutes without oxygen, but you cannot even go 3 seconds without your mind working. Which brings me back to today's episode, where I'm going to talk about how to use your mind to increase your awareness. Without awareness, we cannot change. Without awareness, we're going to stay stuck. And we're going to repeat those cycles and just keep going around and around and around, which is so frustrating. And we'll have periods where we'll have ups and then we'll have lots of downs. But when we keep on repeating the same things, it is kind of frustrating and can make you feel really sink into depression and anxiety. And remember, depression and anxiety are not illnesses. They are warning signals. But any change in your life comes from starting with awareness. What we see from neuroscience is that when you become aware, you actually are going to activate the nerve network, and in such a way that it becomes malleable, it becomes open to change, it becomes vulnerable. When you're not aware, that network in your brain, which is also inside every cell of your body, every single cell of your body also stores the thought with the memories, is basically stuck in that state and driving how you function. But any toxic pattern that you feel is driving you is changeable. Nothing that is toxic has to stay there. Nothing that is any experience that has changed you, if you don't like that change, you can change it. Your past and your current functioning is not your destiny. Your mind is always changing moment by moment, and so is your brain, because your mind is moving through your brain. So you can change things. And sometimes we feel so stuck that we think, well, we've been told it's in your genes, so you can't change it. Genes can be changed. Gene expression can be changed. Genes can be switched off permanently. Mutated genes can be switched off by how we use our mind. Your genes only work through your mind. Your mind drives your genes. Genes are not self-emergent, which means that they don't switch themselves on like a light switch, and a computer doesn't switch itself on. We activate it, us humans, we activate those light switches and those computers and so on. That's what your genes are like. Your genes are basically hardware waiting to be activated. And your genes are inside every single cell, and your cells form your different organs, and your organs form your body. So your mind drives the genes, which then drives everything else. So your mind is the driving force. So every experience is going to build into the mind, brain, and body. And every single experience, when it moves into the nonconscious mind, and we're going to talk about this delineation in a moment, is going to be stuck in that state in the nonconscious mind. And in order to change it, we have to bring it in through the subconscious into the conscious mind. We have to become aware of it. And once you're aware of it, you then have to go beyond awareness into changing it. So you can't just become aware and then just think and then just shove it back down again. It'll go back worse than what it was before. So as soon as you're aware of something, if there's a level of toxicity in it that's affecting your functioning, you need to change it. So awareness puts puts that thought with its memories into a state that you can change it. So without awareness first, you can't change. You can't change what you're not aware of. And awareness means that you are actually listening to your non-conscious mind. So scientifically, you're getting the conscious mind to talk to the non-conscious mind. So now I'm going to teach you what those are. Okay, so our mind is not our brain. You've heard me say this before. You can hear it a million times. So make sure that you get this. So I'm going to hold up a brain. For those of you listening, it's not a real brain. It's a brain, a model in a skull. You are not your brain. If you're dead, this brain does nothing, nor does your body do anything. So now I'm holding up a little model of a brain and a body. So your brain and your body are doing nothing except disintegrating if you're dead. So what's keeping them going? Your mind. Your mind is this energetic force that is driving your brain and your body. Your mind shows up in your brain and your body. So they work together. That's the psychoneurobiological effect. They work together. Your mind needs your brain and your body to be able to express itself. Your mind shows up in your brain and your body, makes everything work, and then you use your mind, brain, and body to talk. That's what I'm doing now. So I've studied all this stuff, built all these networks in my brain and all these memories into my body as well, and into my gravitational fields of my mind, and I'm using all of that now, mind, brain, and body, to be able to teach you this stuff. Okay, so that's what we're all doing every day. We are functioning. We take stuff in, we build it, and then we work from what we've built inside of our mind, brain, and body. So the relationship enables us to be alive and to do life, talk, communicate, experience, process, and we're adding more stuff to this network all the time. But then we have bad experiences and they get stuck in the mind, brain, and body, in an unconscious mind. So let's talk about the differences. So mind is this force, and the mind has got 3 levels. The first level, which is the easiest to understand, is the conscious mind. The conscious mind is awake when you're awake. The conscious mind is where you do a lot of work, where you are changing things, where you are deliberately and intentionally thinking, feeling, and choosing and evaluating and making changes. The conscious mind is kind of slow. It operates at about 2,000 actions per second, which sounds fast, but it's not when you hear about the non-conscious mind. So the next level of mind is the non-conscious, N-O-N, non-conscious. Conscious, non-conscious. The conscious mind is when you're awake. The non-conscious mind is awake 24/7. So at the moment while you're listening to me, your conscious mind and your non-conscious mind are working together to enable you to process what I'm saying. At tonight when you go to sleep, your conscious mind will go to sleep, switches off, your brain changes the way that the chemicals and things flow, but your non-conscious mind is still working. It's doing housekeeping, it's preparing for the next day, it's sorting out things so that you can have a good sleep, it's helping to regenerate your body. So your non-conscious mind is very intelligent, very fast. It operates at quantum speeds beyond space and time. It's not bound by the present, past, and future, and it operates at speeds of somewhere in the region of 400 billion actions per second and faster. 10 to the 27 is a more accurate number. Whatever it is fast. Your non-conscious mind, this N-O-N, non-conscious, is not the same as the unconscious. The unconscious is a state where you get knocked out, for example, or have an anesthetic. So we basically go to sleep, okay? So when you're knocked out, so as I said, through an anesthetic or maybe a baseball bat or something like that. So that is the unconscious. It's a state that your brain and body goes into. But mind its mind is conscious mind, non-conscious, and then in between the conscious and the non-conscious is the subconscious. Conscious mind works when you're awake only. Non-conscious mind is working all the time, never stops. Okay, it's got every single experience that you've ever had from a certain point in the womb to the age you're at today is stored in the non-conscious mind. As gravitational fields in your brain as these thought trees, these things that look like trees, and in your body inside every cell, in the cytoskeleton of the cell, as well as in the DNA. Okay, so therefore, your non-conscious mind is storing everything, But it's not just a filing cabinet. It's an interactive driving force. We call it, it's run by what we call dynamic self-regulation. So on a non-conscious level, your non-conscious mind is sorting through all these thoughts. So the non-conscious mind has an area to it or a function to it that is wisdom. And wisdom is knowing what to do. It's making the right decisions. It is survival mode. It is protect mode. It is functioning in a very intelligent way. So your non-conscious mind, the core of who you are, is your non-conscious mind's wisdom section. And then all your other experiences build around that. So the easiest thing is to visualize a forest. Imagine this gigantic forest filled with all these trillions of trees, every single tree representing a thought. Like a tree is made of roots and branches, a thought is made of root memories and branch memories. So I've done a podcast on the difference between thoughts and memories, so you can go listen to that. But basically, every experience you have gets built by your mind into your brain as these thought trees, with the roots being the source memories, the branches being your interpretation memories. So thoughts are made of memories. Memories are all the data, the emotions, your thoughts, feelings, and choices. It contains the whole lot. So one thought could have thousands of memories, okay? And we have trillions of these thoughts. So in our non-conscious mind is this force that's looking through all the forest. It's moving through all the forest from a point of wisdom. So the middle of this forest is this beautiful strip of green trees that are perfect. So it's a perfect part of the forest. There is just nothing wrong. It is perfection, beautiful, exquisite beyond words. That is the core of who you are. That is your wired for love nature that is also reflected in your brain and your body. In other words, your biology. So we're wired for love. Everything about our brain and our body and this middle forest of our non-conscious mind is designed to support you for survival, for you to be at peace, for you to survive the messiness of life and to move through and achieve and do what only you can do. But life happens, and so that process can be disrupted. So we need, through awareness, to be able to tap into that wisdom of the non-conscious mind, that middle forest. So the non-conscious mind 24/7 is doing stuff. During the day when you're awake, the non-conscious mind is scanning over this forest. And wherever there's a toxic clump of trees, the biggest toxic clump of trees represents thought trees is representing what is going on in your life at the moment. So whatever patterns are in your life are coming from these thought trees, because we have an experience, we build it into our brain and our body. And if it's a toxic experience, that's the source, the roots, and these are the interpretation parts, the branches. Whatever you experience has become this physical structure inside of your brain and the change inside of your cells, okay? So these then are destructive and mustn't be there. So your non-conscious mind finds these. It looks for the ones that are the most dominant, because we have lots of these, so it picks up the ones in order. So ones that are creating the most disruption, the most imbalance in your mind, brain, and body, and therefore in what you say and what you do, because these produce what you say and what you do. So these are producing the destructive behaviors, the addictions, the feelings of depression, the anger, the relational issues. All those patterns are coming from thoughts, which are coming from roots. The thought has a root, which is the origin of the story, okay? And you've heard me talk about this all the time, the neurocycles, to help you track this, find the root, deconstruct and reconstruct it into something healthy, to change it, okay? But that process can't happen until you have awareness. So the non-conscious mind is scanning for these, and wherever it finds the ones that are the most disruptive, it works on those first, and it sends a signal through the subconscious, which is a bridge between the non-conscious and the conscious mind. It sends it through the subconscious into your conscious mind. So how do you know what that's happening? Well, while I'm talking right now, all kinds of thoughts are popping into your conscious mind. Where from? The non-conscious. So the other role of the non-conscious is when you are experiencing something new, like in this case, you're listening to this podcast, so this is the experience you're having now. As you're getting this information, you already have existing information that is somehow linked to what I'm saying from your life experiences. So your non-conscious mind is searching through all your forest to find what's relevant to this conversation and pushes that into your conscious mind through the bridge of the subconscious. So that's why we're becoming aware of it, and it's popping into your mind from the non-conscious through the subconscious into the conscious mind. And we're thinking of those, we're using those upcoming thoughts to help understand and make decisions, think, feel, and choose about the incoming information. So the way you are hearing me is based upon these thoughts that are already existing, that are being pushed by the non-conscious into your conscious mind. So when we tune in to those thoughts coming up, we can understand a lot about our reactions. If we just ignore them and they just go back and we don't pay attention, we can keep in toxic cycles, or we don't really grow as much as we should. We don't repair as easily. We don't clean up that mess. We don't control the mess, and we can get into these negative cycles. But through awareness of what's coming from our non-conscious to our subconscious, in other words, paying attention to those thoughts that are popping up, that is your non-conscious mind protecting you and saying, pay attention to this viewpoint. You have this viewpoint. This is why you're seeing things like this. So it's a self-regulated awareness. Awareness is choosing to pay attention to those thoughts that are popping up. Grab them. Stop everything and focus on them. I'm thinking about this. Repeat them. This thought popped in my mind. This thought, so to yourself, quietly in your head or out loud, repeat those thoughts that are coming back into your mind, because that then is training your conscious mind to pay attention to what's coming through the subconscious, which is then taking you deep down into the non-conscious. And the toxic stuff that comes up are the things that, oh gosh, I'm seeing it like this because of this, and this is a pattern. I need to find out why. Then you know that if you start getting that kind of awareness, you can then start finding the patterns that you need to work on, and spend 63-day neurocycle, do the neurocycle over 63 days to actually fix this. But if you don't have awareness, you're not going to find out what's informing your decisions. In other words, what thoughts that are existing are moving into the conscious mind. You also won't get benefit from the incredible wisdom that you have, because alongside these things that pop up, you're going to get some beautiful wisdom ones. You're going to get some great looking wisdom thoughts popping up amongst these. I got a whole bunch here, so let me just, do this, make a real good impression here. You've got wisdom coming up. If you just let it go away, you're not going to benefit from that. There's things inside of you that are amazing, that'll help you see this current situation. If you take the time to say, oh, okay, I have this existing thought with all its memories, that is this viewpoint, whatever, let me draw on that to be able to understand this, whatever, that you're going through, whatever you're hearing that's coming in. So you draw on wisdom, you don't get thrown, you become responsive instead of reactive. You see, you can't control what's happening to you, but you can draw on your existing wisdom to be able to help you to be proactive in how you are managing your responses in your day-to-day life. And then picking up, that will help you then pick up on these. If the same toxic thing, wow, this is popping up. If you choose to consciously be aware of what's coming through your subconscious from your unconscious, and you see the same thing is popping up like 50 times a day. Well, that's your unconscious saying, hey, wake up. This thing is a problem. There's some work you need to do here. Tune into your body, tune into your perspective, your behaviors. You need to take it 63. You need to take this and take it through a 63-day neurocycle process, neurocycle daily for 63 days to go and deconstruct that and reconstruct that into something healthy. So, but all of that begins with awareness. And awareness is you paying attention to what is coming through the subconscious. And as soon as it moves up, it becomes weakened. And there's a whole change in your genetic expression. There's a whole change in how your body is functioning. And as it comes up, as you move into awareness, it's really important that you are kind to yourself. I have done podcasts on this. I speak about this so often. But when you are kind to yourself and you catch that inner critic, you will then take that awareness to the next level. Because what I've also shown in my research is that if you become aware of this and you just, these things and these different thoughts and different toxic thoughts, not just one, but there's different that come up, but you don't actually do anything about them. You just let them go back into the non-conscious mind. They go back stronger than before. They come up malleable, changeable. But if you don't change them, then they become stronger and they go back, and then they're driving your functioning. And those are those things that you feel like you have no control over, but you have control over everything. You have control over your mind. It's hard. I know when you feel like you haven't got control, it's really hard. But if you become aware, you start the process of getting your control back. You become empowered to start the process. But if you just keep coming getting it up and pushing it back, it's going to increase your levels of anxiety. And that's what we saw in my research, and I write about that in my latest book, Cleaning Up Your Mental Mess, which I hope you've picked up a copy. If you haven't, you can pick it up wherever books are sold. All the stuff I'm teaching you is in here. The technique of the neurocycle, the how-to is in here. And in here I've got some great images of inside the brain. And when you don't do something with what you become aware of, can you see the red over there? Okay, this is inside the brain. If we just have awareness without actually doing the neurocycle, so once you're aware, you need to then do something with what you've become aware of. You need to go and do the neurocycle over 63 days. If you don't, you're going to get a red brain. And that red brain is a brain that's more anxious, where you've got chaos in your brain. Now, being aware, being kind to yourself, and making a decision to go through the process of the neurocycle to change what you become aware of, will then get that red brain back under control. It's the anti-chaos formula. So the awareness of these toxic thoughts, which are causing chaos in your non-conscious mind and your brain and your body, which your non-conscious is trying to tell you about, by you being aware, you start breaking that toxic cycle, that anxiety, that red brain effect in your brain, and that will also create a tremendous, it cause inflammation in your body, affect your cortisol levels, affect your telomeres, which are on your DNA, which are a proxy for mind management. I talk about all of that in my book as well. By being aware, you can change all of that. You can start getting control. So awareness starts giving you control back. Then when you are empowered to control, then you can look at that toxic thought and you can say to yourself, okay, well, hey, this is an issue in my life, but this doesn't have to stay there. I can change this thing that's coming up. My unconscious has helped me to become aware of something that is causing a disruption in the energy flow and increasing the vulnerability of my brain and my body, making me potentially more vulnerable to diseases, damaging my brain. I can change that. This doesn't have to be my future. It's hard, and there's a system. You can do the neurocycle, which is in this book. It's a scientific system for once you're aware of how to go beyond awareness and then change that completely. So awareness is key to starting this process. A quick summary. You have the non-conscious mind that operates 24/7. You have your conscious mind that only operates when you're awake, and the subconscious mind is the bridge between the two. During the day, your non-conscious mind is scanning all the thoughts that are toxic and pushing them through your subconscious into your conscious mind, and those upcoming thoughts are then prompting you to pay attention to how you are behaving, the emotions you're feeling, the symptoms in your body, and your perspective. All of that's working. That's prompting you to be aware of all of those, because those are threatening your survival over time, and that you need to pay attention. So your non-conscious mind is working with you and for you to make you aware of what you need to change in terms of patterns. If you just shove that awareness back down, then you're not going to get the benefit. So from awareness, we then have to do the work. At nighttime, the non-conscious mind is regenerating the brain and the body and preparing you for the next day. So this is why we have dreams, because it is your non-conscious mind moving through all these thoughts, trying to create order, trying to prevent the chaos and the damage that these toxic thoughts and messy minds and unmanaged minds has created during the day, helping your body to regenerate and preparing you for the next day. So we also need to be aware of when we wake up, how we slept, our dreams. Awareness of those will also give us tremendous insight into the non-conscious mind. So your non-conscious mind is working with you and for you. And if the more you listen to the messages coming from the non-conscious mind through the subconscious, which is the bridge into the conscious mind, when you consciously become aware, when you tune in, when you make a decision, what thoughts are coming up, you can then get control over those thoughts and decide, okay, I don't like these thoughts. This is what they're doing. I now need to go and work out why I'm doing this, and I need to rewire this over cycles of 63 days. And I also have my Neurocycle app, where I walk you through this process, this how-to of the neurocycle, to help you to rewire what you have become aware of. So awareness is key to starting, but awareness is not enough. After awareness starts. Without awareness, you can't do anything. Once you're aware, you have to then go beyond awareness and rewire the brain and change the body and change the mind. And that works in cycles of 63 days. Thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you next time.